My next guest became a household name when she landed the role of the spirited, ponytailed castaway, Marianne, stranded on Gilligan's Island. With us now via Skype is actress Dawn Wells. Welcome, Dawn. How are you?
Thank you. Well, I've never been on before. This is a new experience.
Well, you're doing great. And you have this wonderful book about life and what would Marianne do. So tell us a little bit about why you wrote this book. And it's your 50th anniversary of Gilligan's Island. Congratulations.
Thank you. I'm still alive. That's a good thing. Well, Marianne was quite a character that resounded with most of the kids and men especially. And she was the good girl. I don't mean the good girl, but she was a companion. We didn't bully. She was a helper. All of those things. And half of the fans that I meet say I married a Marianne. And I started really looking into what this character, I think, has really taken hold over these 50 years. And I thought, Marianne would have been your best friend. She would have been a good wife. She'd have been a good mother. She would have been a companion. She was smart, all of those things. And today it's a really tough world. And I thought, what would Marianne do? Because when we were dropped onto the island, birth control pills weren't even invented. So
right.
If you dropped her in now, wow, what she's had to learn. And all this electronics and parents that are both parents are working and melded families and everything. And I was raised by a mom. I was really raised by a Marianne mother in Reno, Nevada, where there's gambling and prostitution and all of that. And I really had good morals with my mother, hard worker. If you start a job, finish it. You don't always have to be first in line, manners and all those things. And I think it's kind of time to say something, and I think Marianne would do so.
Why do you think young people are interested in Marianne? Because, like you said, it was something, it's almost timeless, the whole Marianne character, the morals that you're talking about, and the book. But what is it about Marianne that is attracting young people today?
I think she'd have been your friend. And I think a lot of kids are worried about being bullied and trying to keep up with the Kardashians or the $500 purse. And I think Marianne would have been your friend, your chum, your confidant, your pal. And I think kids are kind of looking for that. And of course, the costumes and all of that, it's timeless. It
Right.
could be happening yesterday instead of 50 years ago.
Now that costume sold for your little costume, right? You made that costume, or was that something you invented?
I helped design it because you weren't allowed to show my navel. And so I was plump and concerned about my legs weren't long enough, all those things you go through. So I helped design them with the wardrobe department. The denim was the soft denim, and the darts would kind of hold the curves of my body. And then the little point that came up that covered my navel, which was kind of funny. And they were pretty short. I mean, it was before Daisy. Yeah.
In your book, you talk a lot about achievement and about success. How would you define that?
I think if you have a passion for something that you really want to do, and you're on the road to doing it, that's success. I mean, I don't think you necessarily have achieved it totally. I mean, maybe at the end of your life, you'll say, yes, this is it. But I think I always have goals, small little goals, or something I'm wanting to do. And I think that gives you a sense of self. And I wanted to be a pediatric surgeon. I had no idea I wanted to be an actress. But once I became an actress, there was a responsibility of then keeping that career going. But I'm always thinking of something new. I'm very curious about things. I was saying to my manager the other day, he said, you're always asking so many questions. I said, yeah, who do you think made the lines yellow? Why did they decide to make it yellow? He said, oh God, Dawn, are you still talking about things like that? But I'm curious about life. So I'm living every minute, hopefully. My mother was very strong in a very nice way. I came from a divorced family. She was a worker. She was a bookkeeper, but she made sure that she came home at 3:30 when I got home from school. She knew where I was every single minute until she passed away. Even when I tell a couple funny stories if we have time. On my way to college, my junior year in college, my boyfriend wanted to drive me from Reno to Seattle to school. My mother didn't like the idea of me being in a car for 12 hours with this guy. She didn't like it, but she let me. And I was asleep with my head against the window somewhere in Oregon, and the highway patrol pulled us over. And I said, Allie, were you speeding? He said, I don't think so. So he rolled down the window and he said, is there a Dawn Wells in the car? Call your mother. Now, here's one even funnier. I was 60 and I have knees that dislocate, so I've never played a sport, but I'm an adventuresome person. And my Stevens College friends, we climbed the gorillas and everything in Rwanda. So we were now in the Solomon Islands, where no white women have ever been, canoeing, no electricity. And I'd been there 3 weeks, couldn't talk to my mother. We didn't have cell phones. I'm sure she was worried. So I took the little puddle jumper into the Sydney airport, and I'm walking down the middle of the airport about to board my plane, and a pilot comes up to me and he said, "Aren't you Marianne on Gilligan's Island?" I said, "Yes, I am." He said, "Well, your mother's been looking for you all day." Now, was she calling the tower? Who was she talking to? And I was 60. So my mother knew what I was doing every single minute, and I used to kind of rebel, but I didn't run away. I didn't go out and get drunk as a kid. I didn't sneak out. I didn't do any of that. And in writing the book, I realized why. Respect. There's a respect there.
And it's also something that your character had, and your character has engendered from other people too. Also, what is so special that you remember about the show? A special episode or something about Gilligan's Island?
I missed the question.
A memorable incident or show from Gilligan's Island?
Yeah. I have a story about a lion. I don't know if anybody watched the episode with the lion.
No,
But
yeah.
the lion is not a pet. And he's a great big lion, and tied only with a rope around his neck. And we couldn't, Bob and I both wanted to pet him, but you don't touch him lightly. You really pet him, otherwise he thinks you're a mosquito and you take your hand off. But cats kind of prowl at night. So with the last shot on a Friday night, about 7 o'clock, the lion's pacing, and it's the last shot. And the shot is the hut that the Howells had. And Bob is supposed, the fourth wall is the camera, and Bob is supposed to go in and see the lion and get scared and run away.
So what happened so we don't get cut off? What
Well,
happens to the lion?
The lion went for him.
Oh my God.
And Bob took a karate chop stance, and had the twin beds not split apart, the lion would have got him.
Oh my God. Thank you so much. We're out of time. Thank you so much. You've been
Talk
wonderful.
too much. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Power Your Life. We'll be right back. Ahead, let's find out what's hot for next week. It's time now for our Mama Deb parenting tip of the week.
Hey everyone, dear Mama Deb here, and I am listening to you. Your biggest question to me is, how do I get my children to open up and talk? My answer is to do what Mama Deb's doing and listen. Pay attention. Ask them questions and then zip it, please. Please, I know we want to just tell them what to do, but if we want to build good communication skills with our children, we have to give them the platform. The easiest way to do that is to begin when they're young. Meet them at the door if you're fortunate enough to when they get home from school. Otherwise, when you get home from work, meet with them, unpack their backpack, go through it, talk about their grades, what they got. Ask them questions. Who did you sit with at lunch today? Did you meet someone new today? And ask them to teach you something that they learned that day in school. You're validating them. You're showing them that what they know is important enough for you that you want to hear it. And this lays the groundwork for open communication later on when you have tweens and teens and you're trying to get them to talk with you. So for those of you with tweens and teens already, we're going to address some of those in future segments. But for now, those with young children, start laying the groundwork now. It doesn't happen overnight, so start now while they're young, and you will thank me later. Okay, take care.
Thank you, Mama Deb. Before we go, I'd like to leave you with my PowerPoints for the week. Happy New Year. The start of the new year has some of us making resolutions, others worrying about how to move forward, and some of us still stuck in last year. What's needed right now? Still your mind chatter. Take a breath or two or even 3 and pause for just a moment. Give yourself a pat on the back for arriving into a new year. You made it. You survived. You pulled through and even learned and achieved something valuable along the way. Before you rush into your life demands, consider this. What will you do differently to make you feel better about you? I'm not talking about making big promises to lose weight, to quit smoking, exercise more, or treat your kids or your partner with more kindness. Instead, just choose one small step, one small gesture or act that makes you feel better about moving ahead into 2015. Just one. And next week, choose another small step, different from the last one. Keep going week by week and day by day and watch what happens. Instead of tackling the whole enchilada, just take one step forward, one step closer to your goal and applaud yourself for it. Thanks for being with us today. Next, join us for another packed, powerful show with new guests who have inspiring stories and up-to-date information to share with us. See you then.